Welcome back for part 3 of chapter 12, lesson 4, comparing sets of data. For this one, we have we'll look at box and whisker plots and see how they can be used to compare the data as well. We're looking at Kurt's total rushing during his junior year and during his senior year. So you football players step up, this is what it's all about. Interesting side note here, only about 2% of all high school student athletes attend college with the aid of an athletic scholarship. What's going to get you those scholarships, guys? It's right here. It's not your athletics unless you're some kind of a super stud out there or a studette out there. Odds are, if you don't have the brains to get your scholarships, there's not going to be a lot of them out there for you to have. So we need to take and use a stem and leaf plot on each of these to compare our data, and we're going to use our graphing calculator and construct a box and whisker plot for each set of data and then compare the two of them. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do it just like this. Now let me start out by pointing out that I have already programmed these in as my list 3 and list 4. So if you go up right here, you can see that list 3 is going to be his junior year and list 4, that's going to be his senior year. Interesting little tidbit, if I wanted to just clear out list 1, I found out that I can go up to the very top and highlight list 1, hit my clear button, which is, yep, that one, and hit enter, and now list 1 is wide open and ready for more data. Something I learned, make it easier. So let's jump over to figure out how to make those box and whisker plots. We're going to have to do a second, a stat, and we're going to be comparing two different plots. So on the first plot, we're going to take and hit enter, and we're going to have it's going to be turned on, and then I'm going to jump down here, and on that I'm going to go to the box and whisker that has the outliers figured into it. And what list am I going to be using? I'm going to hit list 3. Second, my list button, and I'm going to scroll down to 3, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, good so far. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it for the second plot. So for the second plot, I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to turn that plot on. I'm going to jump over to right here and turn on the same box and whisker plot that I want. And this time I'm going to be doing second, list, and list 4 right there. And so I have each one of my lists set up. Now I also need to look at my window and figure out what my window should be. So I'm going to jump back over to my data, and my data has a low point of 4 and a high point of 156. So I think that I'm going to take and set my data to run from my low point of 0, and we'll call it a high point of 160. But that should cover the 156, which I think was the highest number. What do I do now? I simply graph it. And you can see that you have the two graphs here where one, he is all over the place. The other, he was very consistent with his information. If you wanted to take and trace them to find out what the different points are, we could take and trace. And right there it says that his minimum value in the first chart is going to be 76. His lower quartile, there's his median of 84.5. There is his upper quartile, and its maximum is 93. If we went down, the maximum of his senior year was 109. He had a median of 75, and he had a lowest score of his senior year of 39. Somehow, I don't think we got the right information because there should be a 4 in there. So let me, hold on just a second. You see what I did wrong? I chose the wrong list. So I'm going to come back down here. This one, whoops, nope. This one is going to change that to list 3. And now we should have a lot better data. If I hit my graph now, that looks a whole lot better. So you can see that his median score for his senior year is much higher than his junior year. He has a very symmetric senior year. He has a very skewed junior year. And since one of them is skewed and one of them is symmetric, what data values do we look at? We look at the 5 data points. So let's jump back over to here and see what we've got. My chart looks just like their chart did. That's always encouraging. And then from there, well, apparently this quit working. So from there, we're going to take and see what we got. Kurt's junior season, the right whisker is longer. You can see that here, just like you saw it on ours. For his, then the left is, the median is going to be closer to the left. You can see that right there. And however, for his, and his distribution is positively skewed. You see that positively skewed because that right whisker is so long. From here, we're going to take and go and see what else they've got. They said for Kurt's senior year, the lengths of the whiskers are about the same. The median is in the middle, and the distribution is going to be symmetric. All things I pointed out earlier to you. Because of that, we're going to compare. It says compare the data using either means and standard deviation or the 5 number sets. Justify your choice. One of the distributions is symmetric. The other one is skewed. Because it is skewed, we're going to use the 5 number summaries to compare. So let's see how we're going to do that, because I've taught you how to do that as well. But first, let's jump over to our Desmos calculator, where I've already put in list 1 x sub 1 and list 2 x sub 2. Now I'm going to go here, I'm going to add function, I'm going to scroll down to statistics and actually to visualizations and hit box plot. And which one do I want? I want x shift underscore 1, and that's going to give me list 1, which we're going to take and whoop, there we got it right about, oh wow, there's going to be list 1. Now we're also going to do the same thing for list 2. It's going to add another list, another function, and this one is going to be functions box plot, and I'm going to call this x underscore 2, and it took and did not stack them the way I wanted them to. So what if I was to take and hit the height of this one as 5? Oh, that didn't do right. What if I change the offset of this one as 5? There we go. So by changing the offset, we can make them taller. And let's go ahead and go back to this one here, which was right here, and let's make its height 5 as well, and that way we can take and compare them a little better. And once again, you can see that his junior year ended up having a being skewed to the right, having a much lower median value, things of that nature, while his senior year was very symmetric. So with that information, we have to dive into it further, and we're going to take and let's jump back over here, find out how to find those 5 number summaries of it. Using Desmos calculator first, because you know that was handy. So to find it in this, I'm going to go onto here, I'm going to hit function, I'm going to go to stats, and what do I want to know the stats of? X shift underscore 1. And right there is my minimum, my medium, my maximum. And what other numbers did they want us to find? I know we wanted the range. To get the range, all we had to do was take and subtract the minimum from the maximum. So his senior season, let's see, a minimum of 38 and minimum 39 there. And let's see if they give us the rest of the information we need. Oh, let's jump back here. It turns out they're not even looking at the full 5 numbers of the 5 number survey, so let's look at what they looked at. They said in the upper quartile for his junior year was 38. Wow, the minimum of his senior year was 39. So let's jump over to the graphs and look at that. The upper quartile is going to be of his senior year.
Run office. Go ahead.
Was right here at 38, while his minimum of his senior year right here is at 39. From there, they also said that this means that Kurt rushed for more yards in every game of his senior year than he did in 75% of the games of his junior year. How are they getting that? Well, if you remember, each one of these sections is 25%. So this long section here is 25%. That means all of this here, that's the other 75% of his junior year. And on his worst game in his senior year, he still rushed more yards than 75% of his junior year. You see where they're getting that from? All right, now let's jump back over and see what else we have. The maximum for Kurt's junior season was 72. Where do we see that at? We can see that right here. And we can see that the median for his senior year was 75. So right there is his middle value for a senior year. And we can say that means that half of the games during his senior year, he rushed more yards than any game of his junior year. How are we getting that? Well, remember, this is 25% and this is 25%. 25 plus 25, that's equal to 50%. So 50% of his graph and then some of the senior year was more than the best day he had as a junior. Sounds like old Kurt really worked hard over the summer to become a much better rusher for his senior year. That's going to be it for this lesson. So we're going to jump on over to your funny. That was an awful lot to take in, a lot of graphing to do and understand. Remember, you also know how, I guess I should revisit real quick for those who need it, how to find it on the handheld calculator real quick. So we're going to do that. We're going to take and to do it, I'm going to hit the stat. I'm going to jump over to the calculate. I'm going to do one variable. Oh, we need to clear it out from the last one because we need to take and say what we're calculating. One variable, and we have to choose our list. So on our list, I'm going to hit the second. I'm going to hit the list. And this time we're going to start with his junior year, which was list 3, and hit enter. We have to hit enter again, and scroll down. And there you got his minimum, maximum, and median values. Same things we found using the Desmos calculator. And then to do the list 2, it's going to be the same thing. You have to clear this out first. And then you're going to go stat, over to calculate, enter on one variable statistics, second, list, and this time you're going to choose list 2 and hit enter, and boom. Oh, no, got to hit enter one more time, and then we're going to scroll down, and there's all that same data that he had for his senior year. So, enough of that. I think I've talked to you guys enough in this lesson. Y'all get busy working on your homework. Getting to be kind of hard using all of the data values and typing them in, but it's a whole lot better than having to work it all out by hand. This is not so much can you find the data, it's can you interpret the data and use a graphing calculator to do the heavy lifting for you. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions in class tomorrow.